Welcome back, guys. Thanks for joining me for another beer review. What are we on? We're on 29th of April. By the time you see this video, by the time it gets released, it's going to be about mid-June, so I do apologise. I'm going to pause it for a minute because I got to sneeze. Done that just in time. Proper big sneeze there. Beautiful day today. Had a mad sneezy thing then. Right, we are looking at a beer from a local supermarket, independent supermarket, Stand Superstore, as they like to call it, in St Martin's, which is just outside Oswestry, about 5 miles outside Oswestry, and I do believe St Martin's is in Shropshire. And the beer we got, I went there with the wife just to have a nosy around, and I think we just went to pick a couple of bits up and saw 5 beers from this brewery. They're out of Swansea. I picked them all up, obviously, and it was beers that I'd never had. I've never had anything from this brewery. So we are looking at a beer now from Tomas Watkin Brewery, and this is their Miner's Pride Stout. And what really caught my eye was the artwork on every bottle that I've done. I think I've got one more to do now, which is an IPA, which I'll be putting up this week, which will be coming up after this. So like I say, sort of June time, you'll see it. Lovely artwork. Yeah, 500ml bottle, 4.5%, and it cost me about £2.39. And the bottles all have Tomas Watkin embossed on them, and a Welsh thingy, the emblem, the Welsh emblem, the 3 feathers, I believe it is. So it's a nice little touch. I do like that. £2.39 for a 500ml bottle. You can't argue. I don't have a Tomas Watkin glass. It's a plain black crown, so let's get it cracked open. Pour it into a magic rock glass and see what we get. Now, it's been out the fridge. Fridge is set about 5 degrees. It's been out for a good hour, I would say. So we shall see what we get. I believe the Hopper Reviews has had this and he really didn't like it. But each to their own. And if you haven't subbed to the Hopper Reviews, that does a lot of AI sort of stuff, very different to the standard beer reviewer, go and check him out. So we'll see what we get. I haven't read anything on the back. I really haven't, and I wouldn't be able to see it now. So if you want to pause that, have a look, zoom in, and that side, feel free. There's a scanny code there. Follow us on social media, so you can follow us, Tomas Watkin Brewery, on social media. Beer in a glass, there we go. I'm going to hold it up against the light. We've got a light behind it, but that is jet black. Now coming through there, I'll give it a little bit of a swirl. Mix and match a bubble head. A few bubbles going up. A tan, no light coming through, so we're going to call it jet black. Let's, hang on, I think I've got a burp coming. Let's give it a sniffers. Yeah, very sort of traditional sort of stout sort of thing. Roasty is the biggest note I'm getting, that big roasty maltiness. Maybe a little bit of a dark fruit vineness there. Rich roasty. Touch of coffee, touch of vineness, pretty much everything what you'd expect. I don't want to say there's anything else. I mean, if I was clutching at straws, maybe a little bit of burnt toast as well, that sort of thing. But I'm not going to be sniffing beer for 20 minutes. Trying to cut back on that. Right, there we go. Tomas Watkin Brewery and their Miner's Pride Stout, 4.5%, picked up locally from Stand Superstore. So if you are local and you do watch this, pop in there, give it a go. Let's dive in. Cheers. Yeah, typical traditional roasty stout. I'm not going to say it's whacking you with massive flavors or a heavy body. I think really for me, the first thing I got when I dived in on that is I felt the body was quite light for 4.5%. It's not like a nitro surge thing, obviously, being in a bottle. Yeah, it feels very thin for 4.5%, if I'm honest. Roasty, malty. Let me do my other stuff anyway. I'm coming in with the flavours here, and I get a little bit carried away. So light body. Carbonation too busy, in my opinion, for a stout. And obviously that light body isn't going to help that. And I can feel it filling me up with gas already. Not smooth. Mouthfeel's not great. It's not a soft sort of drinking beer. 4.5%, do you get that? To be honest, you don't get it in weight of body. You get that sort of 4.5% in levels of carbonation. I mean, you could certainly think that, hang on, I'm drinking 4.5% beer. The likelihood is it's going to be gassy. But you wouldn't expect it from a stout and a traditional stout. So it is a little bit too overcarbonated. So you kind of feel that 4.5% in a sense in that way. Flavour wise, yeah, I mean, it's typical sort of stout. The more I drink it, maybe it's roasty, it's malty. There's a hint of coffee and a touch of bitterness on the back end. I would say on the start of the mouthful, there's maybe a little bit of chocolate going on, but it sort of lacks something. Pardon me. A little bit like the Unity Stout that Timothy Taylor released with, pardon me again, just had shepherd's pie, I do apologise. A little bit like the Unity Stout that Timothy Taylor's and Northern Monk released. A nice stout in a sense in its own right, but to really lift it to that next level, it felt like it was just missing something, in my opinion. And this seems to have that same sort of thing. Like I said, the body's too thin, it's overcarbonated, the mouthfeel isn't great. And then what you get is very much sort of stout flavours. I mean, this could be certainly body wise, you could say this was like a 4.5% porter, which tend to be lighter, but it certainly has a bit more stout sort of flavour. Probably the first one I'm sort of disappointed with that I've had from Tomas Watkin Brewery. I've had 3 already. I thought they were pretty decent, pretty solid. The blonde was fantastic. Somewhere I was nice and easy drinkable sort of one. Can't remember what the other one was now. And I've got the IPA left. This stout though, I think a little bit weak personally for me, and I don't mean ABV. I just think it's a little bit of a weak beer. It's a little bit average. It's not going to blow your mind. It's not going to put you off necessarily, but I just don't feel there's enough in the beer to sort of elevate it to a really good beer. Traditional, nothing particularly nasty in there, but just average. So for me, Tomas Watkin and the Miner's Pride Stout. Disappointing. Would I recommend anyone picking it up? If I'm honest, I bet there's better stouts out there quite easily. But if you are local and you do go to St Martin's, maybe give it a go. Just literally to support the store and support Tomas Watkin's Brewery. But yeah, overall, if I'm looking at it as a beer reviewing, comment now, I think it's a very average stout, and there's there's much better out there. So yeah, there you go. There's my thoughts. If you've had it before, let me know your thoughts on it. Thank you all for watching. Feel free to give the video a like and give me a bit of a sub. I'll see you again soon on another one. Cheers.